Donnie, ice storm is coming. What things do you have to have in the house? Top 3 things.
If I were the average person, I'd say milk and bread, but I don't know what they do. Do you dip the bread in the milk? It just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, a generator, I'd have to say fuel for the generator and a solar panel to charge your phone if you're dependent on that thing.
I just want coffee. I can live in any other way, but I just need coffee. Should we ask our guest what he would take?
Absolutely.
Well, then let's introduce our guest.
Today, I have the privilege of introducing our recurring guest, Mick Mixon, Alamance County's own. Mick, thank you for giving us your time tonight, and we really appreciate you coming on the show.
It's a joy. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm a retired old man out here in Alamance County, but I love being in a small, tiny part of the fraternity of general contractors. I don't know how to build anything. I barely know any code or anything, but I got my GC license back in 2016, mainly just so I could park in the pro section at Lowe's and Home Depot and show up with my Gorilla Glue and a geranium and check out in the pro section with all the pros out there. But thank you guys for having me. What a great time of year it is, man. Playoff football, so exciting.
Yeah. So we need to explain, Mick. Some people might not know that your interest in football has a very historic and great past. Do you want to give a quick bio?
Not really, because I'm profoundly uncomfortable speaking about myself. But in a crucible, I was born on a cold, rainy Wednesday, October 1st, 1958. My dad was an engineer, a chemist. My mother was a singer, dancer, Bette Midler, Carol Burnett, Lucille Ball, all rolled into one. When I learned I had been cheated out of the genetics that were to propel me to a great career on the court, on the field, on the course, because my mother smoked and drank so much during my gestation, all I wanted to do from that point forward was to be a sports broadcaster. I love writing. I love asking questions. I love how in athletics, nobody knows. The coaches don't know. The players don't know the outcome of these games. It's one of the few places you can still go where the outcome hasn't already been scripted. And I've always loved the sociology of athletics. Why is it my young little Mickey Mixon growing up in Chapel Hill mind used to want to know? That black, white, young, old, Jew, Gentile, rich, poor, doesn't matter. Why do we get along so much better in the huddle, at practice, on the bus, at the games, tailgating, than we seem to be able to get along in society at large? To me, sports is a magical place, especially on the radio. And I was so honored, so tickled to be able to, I don't even call what I did for a living a career. It wasn't a career at all. I had a vocation that was also my avocation. I found what I love to do and tried to call it work. And man, time goes by. So I can tell you this from retirement, the roses smell pretty good.
Mm. It's good to see you actually retire. I was bummed out when I got the news that was going to be your last year in Charlotte. And that being said, I had no idea it was going to open the door to us having a several-year friendship. And I'll say that your professionalism behind the microphone carries over to your retired life, your family, and your friends. Definitely an honor to call you my friend. But I've watched you put together this compound, beautiful home, beautiful just land, pond. I mean, just basically you rode off in the sunset like everybody aspires to do, but not everybody accomplishes. You've got the kids, grandkids right in the backyard. Even thought it was funny that Western Alamance High School had no idea. A lot of people did, but most people had no idea that you were up there calling the games in retirement. They have Mick Mixon, who was a year or less removed from the Carolina Panthers, calling these Western Alamance games for your grandson Landon. And I just thought that was such a neat thing for you to get to do. And I told everybody I could, do you know who that is? And handful of people knew Mick Mixon was up there calling the game, but we sure were fortunate to have you. And so glad you ended up in our county. I know you got the love of your life, and I hate to say it again, but just riding off in the sunset, man, you're defining retirement the way I want to one day.
Isn't she pretty?
Look at that.
Yeah,
what'd you call her on the last
county girl?
On the last podcast, you said 5'3" of thunder, or what? It was a great description of Dawn.
My bride is the lead singer in my band, both literally and figuratively. We were in the Franklin Street Band together playing music, and she is soulful. She is smart. She is, I married way above myself.
Yep. Hey, and I just want to say,
to go about. I don't want to mulligan.
No, sir. No, sir. But no, I was doing some digging today. I was thinking you were in Charlotte for more than 20 years, but it turns out it was 17 years. And you got to witness a lot of the great players there. And man, I'm just a little kid when it comes to sports. So it really, I wish I could have been a part of something like that. And I'm too old for that ever to be my career path now. But, when we shoot the breeze about football, man, you always leave me with something that I come away more educated about the sport and, things that I would never know unless I were on the inside. But before we dive into that, I wanted to talk about your house, your pool house / workshop. And you mentioned earlier you had a GC license. And how are you guys coming with the house? Are you happy with everything you did during the renovation and the new construction part of that?
Yes, Donnie, thank you. It's been great. And I just love how Alamance County, everybody seems to know everybody. I've had people that I don't even know. When we were building our house, they would just randomly ask me, "How's the house coming along?" And I'm so touched by the outreach of so many friendly people. I was going to build a box. It could have been a metal building. I didn't really care, so long as I had a 6-inch slab of 3,000 psi concrete to put a 2-post lift on the floor. But my shorty got a hold of the project, and so now we have a pool house, we have an apartment, we have outdoor living space, we have a fireplace under construction. So we no longer use the word budget. So hang loose, Donnie, because I might have to apply for a job. Might have to come to work and roof some houses for you or something to cash flow this thing.
That's funny. It's gonna be beautiful, man. And hats off to you. I saw it just this morning, and I saw where you were gonna do a slab, and of course it's on a little bit of an incline. So I'm guessing you're gonna be north of 15, 17, 18 loads of gravel in that baby, but it's gonna be worth it. That's a heck of a foundation, and it's gonna be beautiful.
Eric, Donnie asked me. He said, "How many loads of gravel?" Or no, he said, "How much gravel do you think you're going to need to bring in here?" And I said, "All of it."
All of it.
All
now,
of it.
Mick, do you still like going out with the bush hog?
I sold my tractor so that I could buy a skid steer. And with a skid steer, you are not going to be denied. I love that thing. I have pushed over things just for fun. I've toted a load of rocks from here to yonder and then back again. I mean, Donnie, isn't it? I mean, it's a game changer, I think.
Yeah, every time I show up at his house, he's got a new project in the background. The latest thing he mentioned with moving the rocks here to yonder is a couple of different retaining walls, probably to the tune of 100, 150 feet apiece, and he's done all that. And so when he says he retires, he doesn't mean physically. He just stepped away from the Panthers for a minute.
Two different people came out here to look at my house or the project, and they looked at my rock wall, my throne rock wall that I made, and they said, "Slim, who did your wall for you?" And I said, I said, "I got a guy."
What was the reason you just found? Was it something you wanted to do, or when you started to think about retirement, you'd already gotten into wanting to build and construct and knock trees over and things like that?
My parents died young, Eric. My dad had signed up to take the North Carolina General Contractor's License exam. He was to sit for that test on the Saturday after he was to return from a trip that he and my mom never made it back from. And he wanted to, he was going to build a house. My mom she was an artist. She had already drawn it up. She was the draftsman. He was going to GC it. And I don't know, I've just always been fascinated by the process, the problem solving component to it, the layers of, okay, this guy can't do, or these subs can't do their job until you get this done, but then this has to be done before they can come in. But boy, hold on a second. You got to get it inspected. before don't anybody touch anything. I just love how it all fits together.
That's good stuff, and it all came together well. I think you guys, it's been a 5-year plan or so, and that's including your house, the pool house workshop, swimming pool, and Jonathan and Natalie's. But I mean, you're close, man. You're about to wrap this big picture project up.
I hope so. I don't misrepresent myself. I mean, people just because you got a GC license doesn't mean you know anything. And it happens to me through this project here. It's happened to me 2 or 3 times where someone has said offhandedly, Mick, are you planning on using the Langstrom method of roofing tie downs, or are you going to go with hurricane clips, or are you going to go with Simpson tabs? And I'll just say, well, I've thought a lot about that. Let me get back to you. And then I call you up and say, what should I do?
It's funny. We're in this triangle because the structural engineer, Michael Honeycutt, that did the plans for you, we're in the process of building his personal house right now. So it's funny that we talk every day, and you and I have been talking a lot more recently since you started the pool house / workshop. And he said that he came out yesterday and he was impressed by how the setup is going to look and everything. And I think that what you just said holds true, because, man, why would you try to keep all that up top if you've got good resources?
Well, it's fun to have friends in high places like you two guys, but time is going by. I like I said, I don't like talking about myself, but you wanted to did you want to ask me about some Carolina Panther players? Is that rumor that I picked up true?
Well, I mean, we don't want to inconvenience you, but yes, we definitely would love to talk about that. By the way, Donnie hates me a little bit because I did fantasy football for the first time ever. I actually fell into it by accident. I hit submit, and when I was trying to get out of a email, and it said, "Hey, you're in." It auto drafted. I won the whole thing, where he always does football with like AI and months of research. I won it. Just letting you know, I've got some skill.
Yeah, it was the craziest season ever, and I'm not mad because you didn't ask for my help, at least that. And but I was a little bit bitter that for all the research and everything I did, nothing mattered this year. This was the kookiest NFL season that it could, right down to fantasy to the real life, because nobody would have guessed that the teams who are still in it are there now, yeah. And everybody's preseason predictions pretty much went out the window. So, but yes, sir, to answer your question, if you don't mind, we'd like to pick your brain on some of your favorite moments calling the Carolina Panthers, some of your favorite people, and just the organization as a whole. If you've got anything to say, any stories to share, we would love to hear that.
Oh, well, I got stories for days. The only problem with most of my stories is that too many people would have to die first before they can be told, myself included. But Donnie, I think I shared with you one time. So Jake Christopher Delhomme, one of my all-time favorite guys. Jake knows the governor of Louisiana. He knows Jake could get a bill passed into law. He could get a highway built. He just has this touch. He moves through life on this magic carpet of his personality and some of his accomplishments. Jake and I were talking one night, and he was telling me about how, as a quarterback, you've got to have the locker room with you. If you don't have the locker room, you got no chance. He said, Mick, when I was with Houston late in my career, we had drafted African-American lineman, high-round draft choice, talented young kid. And we're at training camp, and he has 3 consecutive false starts. We can't even get the playoff. This kid's nervous. Coaches are coming over. They come over, and they're dog cussing this kid. They're cussing him for being born, his parents for having him, their parents for having him. And the kid is on the verge of tears. He's having a meltdown. Jake can see this through the young man's helmet opening. Jake says, I stepped in. I said to the coordinator, I said, hey, back off. I said, that was on me. I forgot to snap count. It wasn't his fault.
Wow.
And the coaches said, all right, well, just everybody get your blank together. Let's get a play run, for crying out loud. And then Jake looks at the player and says, and I'm taking all the curse words out. You can only imagine how many of the worst possible words are in how these guys talk to each other. But Jake says, "All right, blankety blank. I took that for you. Now, remember the snap count and let's be a pro." Jake said in that moment, every white guy, black guy, Hispanic guy, every guy from Texas, every guy from Philly, everybody in the whole locker room would have run through a cinder block wall for me.
Mm.
His understanding of the psychology of sports, of kind of what makes each player on offense, what motivates them, what makes them tick, so to speak, was off the chain.
That's
now,
good
Mick,
stuff.
I could take a guess. I could take a guess here, but I'm going to let you answer it because maybe you'll surprise us. But what player in your 17 years with the Carolina Panthers, when they were in the locker room, their personality just dominated? They took the oxygen out of the room.
Well, some of them put oxygen back in the room. Steve Smith would be probably at the top of the list. Cam Newton, huge personality. Thomas Davis, Greg Olsen. Did I say Kuechly already? Luke Kuechly. Just Ryan Khalil, Jordan Gross. There were Julius Peppers. Each of those guys that I just mentioned, there are many others, led in a different way, but their leadership voices rang out and were unmistakable in the locker room, on the practice field, everywhere the team went.
What was the atmosphere like? And I don't mean to fast forward because you progressively went from Jake Delhomme to Steve Smith, so I should probably dial it back and go in order. But I can't help but wonder, what was the 2015 run like when I'm drawing a blank here, but we drafted the big receiver,
Kelvin Benjamin.
Kelvin Benjamin, yes, and he ended up being out for the season. And I think after game one he got hurt, and I thought, well, our season's over. We don't have a chance. And then all these no names and the people who were supposed to step up all stepped up simultaneous, and we ended up having a great season. But that had to be electric.
And we may see that in the AFC Championship game with Jared Stidham. Dean Smith, legendary basketball coach, I heard him say several times that in a one game, in a small sample size, a team can come together, and frequently does come together, to absorb the loss of a key piece, a personality player. So we'll see. When Benjamin got hurt, we were having a joint practice. Can't remember who was in, maybe the Lions. And we're having a joint practice, and Kelvin Benjamin shreds his knee. And it felt like a death through the whole training camp. Everything changed. There was Cam's big target, all of the fuss and falderall about how Cam can just throw the ball up in the end zone. What a great red zone weapon, Kelvin Benjamin, et cetera, et cetera. We went out and got Jericho Kochery, tried to fill a little bit of the void. Other receivers worked extremely hard. That season, that team had rock stars on it. I mean, that team, we would check into hotels and there'd be people 6, 7 deep wanting autographs, wanting just to see the 2015 Carolina Panthers.
That's awesome. Well, I hope we can replicate that. And it's tough when you see rock stars like Cam Newton on one side of the ball and the defensive quarterback Luke Kuechly on the other side of the ball. I just don't think, as a fan, I don't think I realized, or everybody realized, what we had, and just how fast that can go away. I've heard someone describe the NFL as a league that's designed for everybody to be 500. So when you get beyond that, it's a real accomplishment, and how the coaches have to be a big part of that. But I think we have a good guy in there now, and I'm just hoping we can get the personnel to recreate a season like 2015.
Yeah, me too. That'd be great, fellas. I was mad at Luke Kuechly for a short period of time. I accepted a speaking engagement to go to a middle school girls volleyball year-end banquet. And that's part of my job with the Panthers, was to say yes to every single excuse me, say yes to every single request. I would drive any miles to represent the team, to speak at any Civic Club, Rotary Club, Pessimist Club, Optimist Club, didn't matter. So I'm going to be the keynote speaker for a middle school girls volleyball year-end banquet. The athletic director at the school, when she learned that a Panther representative had accepted the invitation, put on her Facebook page that Luke Kuechly was coming to address the girls' volleyball banquet. Slight bit of disconnect. Would you not agree? So imagine their shock and dismay when a 2005 Nissan Titan pulls up to the middle school on the day in question. I know I'm in trouble because there's a darn parade. There's security. There are these banners. There's the cheerleaders. There's a band. Welcome, Luke. And I'm thinking, welcome, Luke. Oh, this is a little bit odd. So I drive up. I get out of the truck on my coat and tie, my Panther briefcase, and girls start crying. That's not Luke Kuechly. He looks like my dad and stuff.
He looks like my dad.
He never tackled anybody. I know it. So when I got back to Charlotte, it wasn't Luke's fault. He had no idea. It was the athletic director at the school that somehow just put on her Facebook page that Luke Kuechly was coming. So I saw him. I got back to Charlotte a couple of days later. I saw him. I said, Luke, I'm upset with you. Someday I'll tell you why.
Does he know?
I told him a little bit about Luke is one of the great, I told you about Jake Delhomme, and Jake's a great, unbelievable, just a guy, unbelievable guy. And Luke Kuechly's right up there, just on the Mount Rushmore of nice people. I've seen him sign every autograph. I've seen him stay late to sign every autograph. I've seen him ask people when he would get up at training camp to go get some ketchup for his cheeseburger, ask the internet guy, me, other player, ask, does anyone need anything? Just an incredible guy.
So Mick, back in 2021, you came on the show, showing how long now that you and Donnie have known each other, and you've been on before the Carolina Contractor Show. You came on literally the week that Cam Newton came back for his short little run. For people who didn't see it, and for someone like you who was there, explain the atmosphere when Cam came back for that little stint.
Oh, golly. Well, Cam Newton is to stand next to Cam Newton, just to see him, just to be in the same space with him, it's quite humbling because his body looked like it had been cut out of some block of granite in some art class over in Greece. He's way bigger than you think. Narrow waist, broad shoulders. I mean, just an incredible. And then he's, of course, with the hat and the hair and all that, he makes him look like he's about 8 feet tall. And I'll never understand why Cam Newton had the hold he had on the city, our building, his teammates. He was the Pied Piper of fun. Most of the world runs on 110. Cam Newton ran on 220. He was a crackling electrical wire, a current of energy. It didn't always go well. Every now and again, he would get sideways with the coaches because he'd want his certain kind of music at training camp, or he'd want to come out in the stadium, banking off the northeast wind, sailing on a summer breeze. Everybody else is stretching, but here he's doing laps all around the stadium. But who's going to tell him, hey, get in line, stretch your hamstrings out?
I've been happy for him recently, and he resurfaced on ESPN, and they recognized his flamboyancy. I don't know if that's the right word, but I wasn't so much. I love Cam. I actually have his rookie Reebok jersey before they switched back to Nike in a shadow box on the wall in my basement. But I loved Cam. I loved how he came out swinging, and he really gave new life to the team. That being said, NFL coaches are so smart that the sophomore slump was a real thing. They had a year game film on him, and he didn't do great that second year, but totally redeemed himself when 2015 came around. And I think if I wished he had done anything different, it would be carry himself better in the losses. He draped the Gatorade towel over his head, and then he come into the press conferences with the funny hats and the outfits and everything. And I'm thinking, man, if you're as bummed out as I am, you need to look like it. But I don't know. I think he did great. I wouldn't trade a thing. And I still pull for Cam to this day. But, when people talk about how his career ended shorter than it should have been, I think that maybe he was a little bit too strong of a personality. And I'm glad that he's not just sitting on the couch. ESPN recognized just how opinionated he was and how, I guess, half the